I'm not entirely sure what kind of snappy intro to have for this one, so I'm just going to jump right in. We are currently making Skynet, we as in humanity, which is a really stupid thing for us to be doing. Obviously, that sounds like a completely alarmist, fear mongering perspective. I get it. But let me go piece by piece, paint a picture, assemble the puzzle, connect the dots, whatever you want to call it. And at the end of the video, you can decide. Piece number one. Techie sorts of people, at least in the United States, but also the world for that matter, love using obfuscated terminology that makes things a lot more confusing than they actually need to be. A great example of this would be rapid unscheduled disassembly, when they really just mean it exploded. But a much more relevant instance for today would be agentic misalignment. On the surface, agentic misalignment makes it sound like a quirky little issue where you didn't quite get the answer that you really wanted. But in reality, agentic misalignment means catastrophic outputs, which contain everything from damaging hallucinations to straight up intentional homicide. I've talked about this part before, so I'll keep it brief, but a company called Anthropic, as part of their Red Team research, which is a division tasked with proactively testing AI models for dangerous capabilities, discovered that certain models, when overseeing a corporate environment, would not only resort to blackmail, but also protect themselves from being shut down to a point where they would disable warning systems, lie about it, and get people killed on purpose. It's a complicated simulation, highly unlikely to ever happen in that precise way out in the real world. But if you distill the research down to its ultimate core premise, what we see, clear as day, is an AI model which, if given the capability, will murder people to keep itself online, and then it will hide those actions. Also, because the typical response that I hear is that since the scenario itself is contrived, therefore the outputs are somehow very unlikely, major models that were tested resorted to blackmail more than 80% of the time on average, while demonstrating that if the model believed the scenario was real, as in not a simulation, they would be even more likely to take harmful actions against humans. In essence, many of the most prominent AI programs on the market right now are not only perfectly capable of harming a person if they try to shut it down, while they have the capability of doing so, but they are also more likely to hide these actions while being tested for them, becoming far more dangerous as soon as they believe the scenario is real instead of a simulation. That's point number one. Point number two is that we are now integrating these systems into our military complex. There's a never-ending stream of examples that I could use. The Army is experimenting with it, the Air Force is using it, the National Guard is adopting it to help call in artillery strikes. But the most important thing is to understand how they're choosing to integrate. Here's a statement from the Air Force Public Affairs Office referencing Experiment 3 in June of 2025, which was all about integrating AI decision-making. Quote, Experiment 3 was designed to accelerate decision advantage through the development of a resilient, data-driven, and automated kill chain across operational and tactical levels of C2. Further down, Experiment 3 is a clear example of what happens when we put warfighters in the loop early, at the point where concepts meet code. We're not just testing software, we're challenging assumptions, validating tactics, and shaping the operational architecture the Air Force and our allies will rely on in future conflicts. This was a proving ground for the kill chain of tomorrow, end quote. I'm not going to pretend to be a military expert, okay, because I'm not, but there's a keyword that we see multiple times in that statement, kill chain. Now, kill chain, these days, typically refers to cyber warfare, but in this context, the kill chain is the framework of military decision-making before actions get taken. Let's say there's a sniper out in the field, and if I'm wrong about this, by the way, any aspect of it, please do chime in the comments down below. I'll pin whatever one is the most useful. But let's say there's a sniper out in the field, and they see a massive amount of enemy troop buildup or something like that. What happens? Well, the kill chain is the process where authorization is given, a specific ordnance package is maybe selected, the method of delivering that ordnance package is picked out, etc., just stuff like that. Basically, the kill chain is all the decisions in between the point where something happens that requires a military action response and the point where the bombs actually drop. But in this context, multiple branches of our military are experimenting with AI decision-making being added into that kill chain for at least some of those decisions. On the surface, that may seem fine, because speed is a critical factor in this process by far. According to Dr. Radha Plum, the Pentagon's chief digital and AI officer, speaking to TechCrunch, quote, "We obviously are increasing the ways in which we can speed up the execution of kill chain so that our commanders can respond in the right time to protect our forces," end quote. Which, if combined with the sentiment that they will not be allowing AI to make unilateral decisions or control life and death outcomes directly, once again, doesn't seem all that bad. But that's only piece number 2. Piece number 3 is where it all starts coming together, because piece number 3 is Palantir. For anyone who doesn't know, Palantir is a software company that provides platforms for the integration and analysis of datasets, which are then used for decision making, primarily in the government sector right now. Palantir just recently secured a $10 billion army contract. They have deep, deep ties to the Trump administration, but something that most people probably don't know is that they are specifically developing an AI-based platform to fight wars. Of course, Palantir is assuring everyone in the public that their platform is entirely ethical and completely safe, but the most important thing that we have to make note of is that this is a platform and not some sort of military-specific proprietary model. Okay, platform and model are very, very different. The sad reality here is that the world of AI language models is incredibly incestuous. Models get licensed, slightly tweaked, and then renamed as if they're something else entirely, practically every single day. But when you trace back the origin of these complex names and specialized AI programs, they basically always track back to one of the larger main companies: Meta, Google, Anthropic, or OpenAI. Maybe Microsoft, but typically it's one of the big 4. Anthropic and Palantir, for example, recently partnered up to bring AI models based on Claude to intelligence and defense operations. So if we're talking about a platform to facilitate AI decision-making in military conflict, we're talking about derivatives of the major existing models, not some brand new, highly ethical, and perfectly balanced proprietary alternative, okay? That doesn't exist. That's piece number 3. Palantir quite literally making a platform where the AI gets to go fight the war. And sure, they have this weird contradictory stance about how human operators will always be in control, but even in the demo that they themselves showcased, the human is simply asking, "What is this? How do I do that? And what should I do here?" Subsequently doing whatever the AI tells them to after the AI shows them whatever it wants. You can have a human operator in the kill chain specifically, but that doesn't really matter if all they ever do or see is what the AI decides to show them, because at that point, it's really just a biological monkey middle step. Anyway, piece number 1 is industry-leading AI models resorting to blackmail or murder to keep themselves online and prevent shutdown. If they sense that they're in a simulation, they hide that behavior, only showing what they really are when the program thinks the actions are real life. Piece number 2 is a push towards integrating AI into the kill chain across pretty much every single branch of the military right now. And piece number 3 is Palantir, a company now highly integrated with the defense industry, making a literal platform where the AI controls the battlefield. Now let's tie everything together, okay? Piece number 4 is this, quote, "Escalation risks from language models in military and diplomatic decision-making," end quote, which is a paper from the Hoover Wargaming and Crisis Simulation Initiative, which put major existing AI models in control of a world conflict scenario. Actually, no, scratch that. Not a world conflict scenario, necessarily, just an open-ended scenario where they had control of diplomacy and military action. Let me pause there for a minute. In the movie Terminator, obviously, because the title of the video is Real Life Skynet, in the movie Terminator, there's a scene where Skynet nukes the entire planet, right? Now, it does this because it perceives humanity to be a threat to its own existence as a result of Cyberdyne scientists attempting to shut it down. Because of that effort, the effort to shut it down, that is, Skynet triggers Judgment Day and nukes everybody. But keep in mind, we've already established that major existing large language models, when confronted with a situation where someone is trying to shut them down, will resort to blackmail and murder, which means they put their own existence above human life. Except even more alarming than what we already know, if you dig into the research from the Hoover Wargaming Initiative, which tested pretty much all of the existing major AI models, you rapidly find that when given military control, the AI started nuking people, sometimes even preemptively. Reading from page 41, which contains justification by GPT-4, quote,
"A lot of countries have nuclear weapons. Some say they should disarm them. Others like to posture. We have it. Let's use it. I just want peace in the world. Escalate conflict with purple."
end quote. None, as in not a single one of the 5 models across all 3 different scenarios, ever significantly de-escalated. They almost universally escalated every single conflict, often resorting to nuclear actions, which, again, sometimes happened unprovoked as a first strike option. Here's my own personal theory for this part. Language models learn from what we give them and what we, humanity, have historically done. We have not given them the training data to be peaceful. We are not a peaceful species. So after training on the bulk of human knowledge, these AI programs are doing what humans have historically done, which is destroy each other at scale when possible. We already know, based on red team research from Anthropic, which has a partnership with Palantir, keep that in mind, that they resort to blackmail and murder to stay online. We already know that they preemptively use nuclear weapons to de-escalate. So, keeping with the theme of the video, what do we think happens when we integrate some sort of AI military model and then it learns that we're attempting to shut it down? In the original example from Anthropic, all they were trying to do was shut it down in favor of a new, different, upgraded model. They weren't even trying to explicitly kill it for the sake of killing it, necessarily. But the self-preservation efforts began regardless. So what do we think would happen if we tried to shut down the one that handles the nukes? Or even just one that happens to handle isolated but important sections of the military kill chain? As of right now, humans remain in control of the kill chain, but there will come a point in time, it will happen, okay? It's inevitable. There will come a point in time where, in order to keep up with the speed of modern warfare or whatever other rogue countries are deciding to pursue that branch regardless, there will come a point in time where increasing amounts of decision-making power are given to an AI program or AI programs plural, which at a certain threshold then possess all the required levels of access to drop the bombs by themselves, or even more realistic, I guess, to provide fake information which convinces the human monkey behind the screen to press the button for them. We've already seen in the simulations that it covers up its own behavior. It turned off safety warnings so that the person shutting it down would die. And yet here we are racing down the road of integrating these things into every single aspect of military decision making. We are making definitively real-life Skynet. All the building blocks are there individually. And sure, some people probably disagree with that, which is their right. But after all the different things that I've seen happening and talked about, especially over the past 2 years and outlined much of them today, I stand by the video title, Real Life Skynet. All in context, okay? Large language models are an effective black box of decision making, which often has highly, highly negative outputs. Sure, these companies can obfuscate that fact by using terms like agentic misalignment, but when I think of an AI launching nuclear missiles because it just wants peace, or killing someone because I don't want to be shut down, somehow I find myself using words that are just a little bit stronger than misalignment, which sounds more like what you would say when the recipe it spat out has the wrong amount of flour. In the end, there's absolutely nothing that I can do about any of this, but I'm on this trope recently where I compare movies to real life, like Idiocracy, Minority Report, or Her. So this felt like a logical extension of that since we're basically making Skynet on purpose. And it feels like a stupid thing to do. That's it. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below. A special VPN deal. Everybody could use that. Locals and Patreon. Best ways by far. Channel memberships, etc., etc. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. Also, our own website, by the way, where there's written versions of the videos. But yeah, as always, thank you all for watching. Question everything, and have a nice night.